What's up, Disney Infiniteers? Welcome to today's video where we talk about new, never-before-seen concept art for Disney Infinity. Thomas Estrada, who worked on character animation on Infinity from 2010 until the end in 2016 with Avalanche Software, recently joined the Disney Infinity Reddit and showed off some new concept art for the game I'd never seen before. Thomas says many of these were under the working title Star Command, when the game was still a single property sequel to the Western Town Toy Box mode from the Toy Story 3 video game, and later Toy Box, the original name of the game that would become Infinity. Very exciting stuff here, so let's jump right in and break it all down. The first concept image shows concept art of the City Hall Space Needle. Now this tall tower has many details such as elevators from the bottom to top, as well as a backside elevator and moving platforms. The top also features blockhead ship docks with blinking lights. The blockhead is beamed in and out of this platform on the glowing square. The square illuminates when a ship gets docked, but is dark when no ship is there. The force field elevator also has some very cool details too. Once you step into the elevator, a light beam appears at your feet, creating a force field elevator that carries you upwards. Once used, it disappears. The next concept art is a visual style guide for character poses. It talks about maintaining, quote, a reserved coolness while still maintaining the identity of each character. On the left, they describe this example of how it doesn't say Buzz, and how this example of Jack is not enough character and too passive. On the right, too much action and not the, quote, cool Jack examples are shown. In the middle, they strike the correct balance, which is consistent with Buzz's character. They also show off the finished design of Infinity's iconic Jack Sparrow pose, which fits the, quote, comfortable yet active theme. The next concept art image shows off an early Pizza Planet building design. Now what's cool about this image is they had the idea to implement a control panel that you could activate to control the claw. I always loved how interactive and creative the Avalanche team was with the attention to detail on little things like this concept. The next concept image shows off an early look at the conceptualized Pirates Island, which would then go on to become the Pirates of the Caribbean playset. You can see the fort and dock with the red ship, as well as the island filled with lush green plants and stone structures. It's so neat to think about how this concept art would evolve into what would become the beautiful Pirates playset years later. Next up, we have another Toy Box style guide which focused on how form follows function. It mentions that they aim to use, quote, the Toy Box features to call out areas of interactions on toy functionality. These toy features define the type of player interaction. The examples given are this cactus tree, which shows springs at the bottom which suggest movement. On this building, the hinged doors and latches suggest something can be unlocked. Another example highlights interactive windows that have hinged pivots with interactive buttons to press. They also show off Lightning McQueen between two horizontal tires which would be spinning to suggest turbos. And lastly, levers on buildings. Then they highlight functionality toy features that define the type of toy functionality. Examples here are buildings where you can see multiple points where functionality is desired. They also highlight seams for rotation on character models themselves. And lastly, they talk about plastic lights, a bell, cranes, speakers, rotating platforms, cranks, and slider hinges all on the building to help create that element of functionality. It's very interesting to see the early Infinity design ideologies and philosophies here. The next concept art image focuses on the Mater Shader Simplification Pass. This shows details on how they simplified the design of Mater, such as using a coarse airbrush gradient instead of actual rust, removing text on the door, and eliminating unnecessary details to give it more of that toy aesthetic. Then we're shown the Star Command Junior Academy. They showcase many details on this building, such as the planet on top spinning, holographic signs, ledge grabs for climbing, windows to throw blockheads into in which they would get sucked into the anti-gravity training chamber, and they also show off how the ledge interacts when the windows open, a curved window which flips for platforming, and more ledge grabs. The Italian Tracks concept art showcases how the team wanted to clearly help players know where to drive in terms of tracks. They show off ideas on how to visually communicate where the next piece of the track is heading. And I love how they were inspired by Italian Tracks here, and even gave notes to other team members such as, quote, it's possible that the track language needs to be apparent. It's something we should discuss. Just shows off, again, how much detail everyone had when making Infinity. Next up, this concept concept art is probably my favorite, Buttercup playset. Now, this is the first time we've ever heard of the idea for a Toy Story 3, and more specifically, a Buttercup playset. Alongside Buttercup, you can see Lotso, as well as the palace, rainbows, and much more in the background. Now, I am really obsessed with this, and I want somebody to create it in the toy box today. But I also wonder, what else was pitched for this potential playset? Lastly, he shared concept art of Star Command signage icons. Now, we did end up receiving Toy Story in Space as a playset, but seeing all these amazing concept art images just warmed my heart. There were so many ideas, as we all know, and even all these years later, we are always discovering new things we never knew about Disney Infinity. So, Infiniteers, what do you think of all these new Disney Infinity concept art pieces? Which one was your favorite? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for all the latest Disney Infinity news and content. What's up, Disney Infiniteers? Welcome to today's video where we talk about even more never before seen concept art for Disney Infinity. Thomas Estrada, who recently released tons of new concept art from Infinity's initial development, is back with even more. If you missed the first video where I covered everything in depth, make sure to check it out here, link in the description below. And with that said, let's start this video off with a fan asking him a question over Reddit on whether this early concept art was inspired by Toy Story 3's Toy Box mode, in which Thomas replied, "Absolutely. Infinity literally started out as a sequel to the Toy Box mode's Western Town, but set in space, called Star Command. The first concept art shows off an early look at Buzz Lightyear before the team settled on the art direction for what Infinity characters would eventually evolve into. The next concept art image showcases multiple outfits for characters. Originally, they had this design idea where you could customize characters in different outfits. And from this art, you can see 3 rows of outfits for Woody, Buzz, and Jessie. Then we can see the various outfits, which show a myriad of different themes such as pirates, Toy Story, pilots, dresses, Miss Nesbit, funny disguises, ninjas, Vikings, witches, knights, sombreros, princesses, hunters, toy soldiers, 3 musketeers, Sully, Mr. Incredible, and Dory. Now, all of these look incredible, and Thomas did provide some insight to why the team did not include these in Infinity, explaining, "The complexity would have been extreme. It's the same reason we did not bring over the Grow Shrink slime from the Toy Story 3 game." The next concept art showcases work-in-progress illustrations of characters for the Toy Box game before it was Infinity. You can see Buzz, Aurora in her Briar Rose outfit, Sully, Jack Sparrow, Simba, and Captain America. Now, while these weren't the final designs, it's interesting seeing them in their early state of design. Thomas also explained why Simba, and more specifically quadrupeds, never came to Disney Infinity in more detail, saying, "Quadrupeds were always a challenge that they decided to forego. It was things like carrying weapons, tools, and other avatars." Next up, we have some more early concept art for various characters, which includes Monsters Inc., Pirates, The Incredibles, and wait, is that RoboCop? All these characters look like townspeople, and it's neat to see stuff branded Toy Box from early development. Now, we get to see some beautiful concept art of Shipwreck Island. It's neat to see the boat on top of the mountain and the graveyard of sunken ships below. I think this would have been an interesting location to explore. Then we have this beautiful shot of Jack Sparrow having a naval battle with Davy Jones. We can see Jack in his regular form hurling a barrel at what appears to be townspeople on the other ship. Additionally, you can see the Kraken in this shot too. I genuinely love the creativity in this piece. Next, he shared this concept art for what I believe is a Toy Story inspired building. Here, we can see the exterior of a large building with purple, white, and green colorways with an arched design. The next concept piece is called Photo Room, which I believe is the interior of this same building. I'm not exactly sure what this is, so if anyone knows in the comment section, I would love to hear about it. The next concept art showcases a volcano with mountain ranges, a pirate ship, cannons, caves, and more. I believe this was an early concept image for what the Pirates playset could have been. It's really cool to see how, even at the earliest stages of development, it was still grandiose in scope. Then he shared concept art for a hospital. This featured a climbable ladder system on the back and unique features such as a large window that rotates, just like these smaller interactable windows. It's where you would drop off blockheads to complete missions. Additionally, it would have a jump pad below where by pressing this button, you would activate the X-ray machine and see it scan a blockhead or alien. This also worked when you drop off a blockhead through the top door. The next concept art, still branded Toy Box at this phase in development, shows off some work in progress artwork for various Monsters Inc. characters. It's really cool to see how the art styles evolved over time into what Infinity's final style ended up being. That's not all though. The next image showed how they had the original vision for regular characters or figures, the blockheads, which would become townspeople, and what they described as the quote, in-betweeners. They also showed off a potato head style toy where you could add extra arms or legs in addition to interchangeable arms and leg lengths to potentially change the way how the animations worked. Again, it's fascinating to see the development process on these, with one person noting, does changing the rules for blockhead faces give us more to work with? Thomas also recalled how the animations would have worked, saying quote, in the first, and if my memory serves 2.0, we did a lot of custom animations, but as the game continued to expand, we had no choice but to standardize basic motions in order to share. Next, we see the living room for the Star Command building, which looks absolutely stunning. I love the colors with the blue and green accents along the white walls. The couches, decor, and paintings all give off a vibrant Toy Story vibe, and I love it. We then have some more Toy Box branded Monsters characters, which showcase their original visions of the various sizes of Toy Box toys or characters that were a work in progress before Infinity was, well, Infinity. Next, we see a concept art piece for Monsters University Intermediate Toys, or, as was referenced earlier, the Potato Head style toys. This described how these toys would have worked, saying, holes and separate pieces allow for using a universal rig and unique customization, i.e., extra arms. The top hole would be used for hats, spikes, or extra eyeballs. The back and tail holes would be used for adding spikes or wings, and the ball socket joint would have allowed for a large range of motion. I really love how they thought about this and how these would work in the Toy Box game. Super excited to see this. Next, we see concept art of a fire station building. This station would have included a ringing bell players could interact with. By pressing the button, it would ring the bell and all of the lights would strobe and blink. The artist also proposed an idea for it, saying it would be cool if this building dispensed water balloons that you could pick up and throw them at buildings that have the billowing smoke coming out of them. The last piece of shared concept art showcases an eerie Pirates themed area with ramps, buildings, in what I think is Shipwreck Island. Additionally, we can see structures and much more. Now, it's really eye-opening to see some early conceptual visions for what this could be. Were these ideas that would eventually be fine-tuned into the Pirates playset, or was this a vision for a much more ambitious version of the Toy Box? I'll leave that for you to decide. And while that's all we have for now, Thomas replied to a fan saying, please post more with 2 thumbs up. So it does appear that we may soon get our hands on even more never before seen Disney Infinity concept art. How exciting is that? So Infiniteers, what did you think of all these new Disney Infinity concept art images? Which one stood out to you in this video? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for all the latest Disney Infinity news and content.